Is it working? Okay. Well, when we get together like this, I find it useful to divide our encounter into three parts. The first part is known as panic time. Panic time is when you sit there and you say to yourself, who is this wanker? And why isn't he taking care of his restaurant or his laundry? So during panic time, I'd like to share with you a few basic assumptions, and that will take us into prime time. During prime time, I'm going to ask you the question, how do we give customer service that goes beyond customer satisfaction through to, one step further, customer delight? When was the last time your customers had minor orgasms because they met you? Okay? And from there, we will then go on to what we call ghetto time. You realize you're at ghetto time when your eyes begin to glaze, and you realize the mind can only secure what the backside can endure. At that moment, I will ask for volunteers to come out and make an ass of yourself for everybody. And if you refuse to come out, I've got a few names dropped in. Okay? Now, the first thing I want to share with you is that organizations don't die because of old age. Organizations die because of organizational AIDS, AIDS. What do they stand for? A stands for arrogance. When you do not know how to lift your knowledge up to the level of your customer's head and not be above, where you show off, where you insult or talk down to your customer, that's when you lose business. Whenever you talk down to a customer, they lose face. And losing face is not just an Oriental expression. Many Australians are getting bald because they realize that losing hair is one way of gaining face. Now, they say if you're bald in front, it means you're a thinker. And if you're bald behind, it means you're sexy. But if you're bald in front and behind, you only think you're sexy. There were these three guys playing golf. Two guys were rich, clever, and wealthy, and one guy was dumb, poor, and stupid, okay? And so the first guy said, you know, my son, he went to a private school, he's a brain surgeon, and he's so brilliant, and he's so successful. Why? Last week he bought himself a 22-foot yacht, and he gave his best mate a 22-foot yacht. And the second guy said, my son also went to another private school, and he is a criminal lawyer, and he is so rich and successful, and last week he bought himself a Mercedes-Benz S-Series long wheelbase, and he gave his best mate a Mercedes-Benz S-Series long wheelbase. What about you, Charlie? And Charlie says, don't tease me, you know, I'm dumb and stupid. My son went to a local school next door, and he flung year 12. And with the recession we needed to have, you know what? He lost his job. And to complicate matters, my boy is gay. But luckily, he has two very generous lovers. Last week, he received a 22-foot yacht. And a Mercedes-Benz. A stands for arrogance. So watch out that when we do business, we are never arrogant. We never talk down to people, you know. Now, there is a very famous hospital in America called Mayo Clinic, Rochester, Minnesota. And 40% of the people who go there refuse to convert their scripts into medicine. So they interviewed them, and they found out there are two kinds of people they hate. One is a doctor who looks down on you and talks down to you. Charlie, you got hemorrhoids? You know what kind of people get hemorrhoids? So they say, up your nose with a rubber hose, I ain't gonna... But they also dislike another type of doctor who tries to suck hole, you know. They talk up to you. They say, Charlie, you got hemorrhoids? I got hemorrhoids too. You want to see? So don't talk down and don't talk up to your customers. Talk to them as mates. That's how you make money, okay? I was speaking, and one day, one guy was a doctor. He said, Key, I object to what you say about doctors having hemorrhoids. We doctors have perfect arseholes, he said. Now, A stands for arrogance. Watch out for arrogance. Number two is insensitivity, okay? Insensitivity, where we refuse to listen to people, where we refuse to become involved. Too many people want to manage by remote control. It's like being a symphony conductor and telephoning in your instructions. What happens when you manage by remote control instead of putting your body and yourself in there? One day, a guy owned a series of very expensive restaurants. And he got his consultant, and he gathered all his employees. He said, this is my consultant. And you all know what a consultant is? A consultant is a man who knows 200 ways of making love, but he doesn't know any women. No. Oh, you heard the one before. Okay. So, let's start with being the last speaker. Now, this consultant, you see, 2 years ago, what he did was he gave you management objectives. Last year, he gave you in search of excellence. 6 months ago, he gave you the 1-minute manager. It's like the 1-minute lover. Okay? You must linger a little longer. Okay? And this consultant, you know what he's going to do? He's going to take care of you for 6 months. And in 6 months' time, I'm too busy to take part. I'll come and watch what you do. Sure enough, 6 months, he asked the maitre d', what's this? All my waiters dressed in black. They've got a spoon coming out of their pocket and a string attached to the belt. He said, what's going on? He said, it's the consultant. He said, people drop spoons. We run to the kitchen, we bring a spoon. That is 56 man-days per person per year. Now you drop a spoon, we produce a spoon. We save 56 man-days per person per year. It's just great idea, money for value, value for money. But what's with the string on your belt? And the guy said, it's because of the Minister for Health. He said, when you go to the bathroom, you must scrub down like a surgeon. Go to the bathroom, scrub down like a surgeon. That is 79 man-days per person per year. So now, when I go to the bathroom, all I do is I use the string and pull it out. He said, oh yeah? Now how do you put it back? He said, I don't know about the other waiters, but for me, I use a spoon. So if you are the boss, you better get yourself involved. You know, or else you have a form of customer service without the substance. Now, when you see Frank Sinatra sing, Frank Sinatra has a sunken chest. He doesn't have a barrel chest like Pavarotti. But when Frank Sinatra sings, the reason why he makes so much money is because he's there. The guy is plugged in and he's there. So if I come to your pub, are you there? Do I know you're there? Okay? So AID stands for deafness. Too often, we don't listen to our customers, and they are the only people who sign your paychecks. The customer is king, and we are here for the coronation. Don't be deaf to them. Listen to them, okay? One day, I met a friend of mine. I hadn't seen him for 15 years. So I said, hi, how are you? How many kids you got? He said, I got 12 kids. I said, you got 12 kids? Are you just a devout Catholic, or are you a sloppy Protestant? Okay? And he said, it's nothing like that. He said, it's my wife. My wife is a bit deaf. Every night I said to her, darling, you want to go to sleep or what? And she keeps saying what? Okay? So go out there and listen. You see, no human being ever buys stuff for stuff. They don't buy alcohol. What they buy is hopes, dreams, fun, okay? You don't want to buy quarter-inch drills. What do you want? A quarter-inch holes, okay? So make sure that you go out there and give them this fun thing that they're looking for. AIDS, S for stubbornness. Stubbornness is when you see a need to change and refuse to change. Then you will find that the cost of making the change will always be less than the cost of not making the change. So our world has changed. How has our world changed? Well, the whole world now is leaving the energy-based, resource-based industries. We are now in the knowledge industry. It's people business. If you do not know how to talk to people, you don't have a chance, snowball's chance in hell to survive, okay? Our assumptions have changed. So you must learn to let go of the past and change your assumptions. I was running around my house the other day, you know, keeping fit. I had my stubbies and my t-shirt, and I found a brand new tennis ball. I'm a hoarder, so I didn't want to waste a brand new tennis ball on the street. So I didn't have a pocket, so I opened the thing and put it in there. Now, as I was coming home, my neighbor lady said, hey, Key, what's with that thing there? I said, it's a tennis ball, Bonnie. It's just a tennis ball. She said, I know how you feel. I once had a tennis elbow myself. So watch out for your assumptions, okay? Now we come to the serious business of prime time. What do I mean when I say one step beyond, that you must give service beyond satisfaction through to delight? There are only 3 ways you can relate to your customer. Number 1, you give the customer what you promise him, and he will tell 3 people, go to that pub. Number 2, you give anything less, he's going to tell 12 people if he's inconvenienced. But if you victimize him, if he looks stupid, then he's going to tell 50. So there's only one logical way to behave. We must always under-promise and over-deliver beyond customer satisfaction through to delight. Do you ever do that? You see, if you ever throw a stick, that's how we make money. We sell a pot, we throw a stick. But today, you go bankrupt just throwing sticks. What must you do? You must throw a boomerang. You must not only find the customer, you must keep the customer and bring the customer back tomorrow. If the customer doesn't come back tomorrow, you're out of business. Because there are only 2 fundamental laws of marketing. And this is articulated by Professor Levitt of Harvard. He said, the point one, nothing, you see, what you have is not even a product unless you can find and keep a customer. So do you know how to find and keep a customer? And you don't find and keep a customer with material things. You find and keep a customer with your ability to relate to them. And also, he said, nothing can ever sell without embellishment. You know, we Aussies hate to embellish. And that's our trouble, okay? When you go and eat sushi, what are you eating? You're eating raw fish, raw octopus, raw prawns, what Americans call bait. Now, how can you be charged $50 per person per night for bait? Pure embellishment, okay? So the question is, do you embellish? Do you make things fun, and do you embellish? Now, I was speaking, and one guy said, Key, I disagree with you. There are two things you can sell without embellishment. I said, what are they? He said, of course, they are the primary drives of men, sex and religion. Well, let's take sex. Think of your last sexual encounter. Think 5 years back. Okay? Now, with AIDS, people are very careful nowadays. Why do you lower the candle power to increase the candle power? Why do you have lipstick, mascara, perfume? Why do you have silks and satins? And having met some of you at coffee, why do you need whips and chains? Okay? Now, you can't even sell sex without embellishment. So how can you sell liquor without embellishment? Okay? Now, and then take religion. The last time you went to Rome, why do they have spires? Why do they have incense? Why are there cardinals dressed in crimson, lying prostrate on the ground? You can't even sell religion without embellishment. I once had dinner with a Catholic priest, you know, and there were all his fellow priests, and there was fruit and vegetables and wine and meats. And I said, hey, the table was groaning with food. So I said, by the way, if this is how you Catholic priests observe your vows of poverty, after dinner, can you show me how you observe your vows of chastity? Okay? He didn't invite me back. Okay? So, what is this thing called beyond customer satisfaction through to customer delight? One guy said, Key, where do you find that expression? I found it at Qantas. One day at Qantas, the woman took her 4-year-old son and said, son, you go into the bathroom here, I'm going to the bathroom across from you. And when she came out, the door was still locked, so she knocked on the door and said, son, before you come to the seat, make sure you give it a good shake and wash your hands. But when she went back to the seat, to her horror, the boy was already there. And she heard a gentleman with grey hair, and he said to the stewardess, he says, my Qantas gives service beyond customer satisfaction. Through to delight, okay? And he said, the only way you can improve upon your service is if you'll come and help me wash my hands, okay? You see, there is a huge difference between products that we used to sell versus what we are selling now, service. Value. Value is defined as benefits minus cost. Now, this I can make 5,000 last night, inventory it, demonstrate it, throw it away, replace it. The production and consumption is kept separate. But what you have to sell is what the textbooks call a magic moment of truth. You no longer sell products because what you sell is you producing and the service is consumed at the time you produce it. A magic moment of truth is an episode in time when somebody comes into contact with any facet of your organization, even when you're hanging up clothes at home, anytime at all, when they come into contact with any of your employees, anything at all, and they form an opinion of it. And you must manage these magic moments like a link on a chain. And you can spend all the money to manage it all, and one lousy link, one employee who was in a bad mood, one bottle of beer that is flat, and everything you've done is wiped out. So today is a different ball game. Today, you must hire people not for muscles on their back, but for emotional and psychological labor. Today, you must hire people who smile. Singapore Airlines hire smiles, they say. We can hire people to do other things, but smiling, we need the person with that kind of personality. So make sure that you don't just hire a warm body. Hire somebody who can put up with this nonsense, okay? Because it's very difficult to teach a pig how to sing for two reasons. Number one, it is a thorough waste of time, and number two, it annoys the pig, okay? And somebody also said you can't make chicken salad out of chicken shit, okay? So take trouble to hire people, okay? And then magic moments of truth involve a whole host of things that I will demonstrate in a few seconds. Now somebody said, where do you get the expression moments of truth? From the textbooks, it came from Ian Carlson of SAS. But actually, I think they got the idea from Madrid. I went to Madrid, and if you put a fresh bull against a fresh matador, the bull will kill him every day. So they cheat. They put a fresh bull, they've got 6 men on horseback called picadors. And they take long steel spikes, and they slam into the bull until the bull is half dead. Then they go away. Then they have 6 men on horseback, and they take bandalaras. They are small steel spikes with all kinds of crepe paper, and they slam that onto the back of the bull. And when the bull is almost half dead, they've got 6 matadors who will make the bull run hither and thither until he's frothing in the mouth and limping. Then and then only can you have a magic moment of truth and you can kill the bull. Now the question before the house is, do you have a holographic team to allow you to bring in the customers and keep them? If I say, hey, I want to throw a birthday party at your pub, can you tell me about your pub? And the person said, oh, my boss, he and his wife are getting divorced. And they've got a 50-50 property settlement, you know. The wife has got the inside of the house, has got the outside of the house. And we've got labor problems that you won't believe. Do you have people with loose lips that are sinking ships, or are you a holographic team where when you smash the hologram, every piece has got the whole picture in it, okay? Because a human being cannot be perfect, but a good team, where you make up for each other's weaknesses, can be perfect. So learn to involve your team, okay? Now, when the bull is a good bull, and the matador is good, the matador gets the ears and the tail, and they cut up the bull, and the people of Madrid will eat the bull, so they can become as strong as the bull. One US tourist said, give me the most expensive part of the meal. So the menu they gave, the most expensive part was the bull's organ. Full plate coverage, good mouthfeel. He ate that night, he behaved like a lion to his wife, and the wife said, tomorrow for breakfast, order the same meal. He ordered the same meal, same price, but big plate, one small piece of meat. He said, how come the size of the meat has changed? And the waiter said, Senor, sometimes it's the matador who wins, sometimes it's the bull. Okay. Now, you see, the expression magic moments of truth came from a guy called Yong-Tau. He was running a bankrupt aeroplane, and then SAS, and he said that you cannot make money by trying to sell commodities to everybody. If you think you are in the commodity market, you're going to be out of business before you know it. You're just rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic. He said that my airline stewardesses and so on, they interact for 15 seconds per person. 50 million of these things a year. And to manage these magic moments of truth is important, okay? So he said you must be something special to someone in particular. Do you engage in market segmentation? There is Charlie, the guy who sits in the toilet who is always drunk, and these are people who are gay, and these are people who are happy. I better watch how I use words. And make sure that you segment your market and be something special to someone in particular. Now he asked the businessmen, he said, what do you want from Scandinavian Airlines? They said, we are businessmen, we want to be on time. And you are the largest unscheduled airline in Europe. So he says, we hear you, we hear you. So what did he do? All acts of creativity that makes money, all acts that make money, must be acts of destruction. He took his 747s, he took his Airbuses, and he mothballed them. If your customers say, I want you to change the size of your toilet or whatever, are you willing to give the customer what the customer wants? No human being wants money or works for money or material goods. Human being works for only one thing, a satisfying state of affairs that must be given to them with frequency and with recency. So how do you satisfy them, okay? And so sure enough, he gave them frequent flights on time, and he took a bankrupt outfit and make millions next year. Also, he said that one day he got out of the reception gate 2, and he ran to reception gate 24, and he said, huffing and puffing, why must I run all this distance? And the stewardess says, you see, that plane in 2, the hangar is across from there, and the plane in 24, the hangar is across from there. He said, when you tuck a plane from gate 24 to gate 3, does the plane huff and puff and curse and swear he'll never fly Scandinavian Airlines again? No. So he says, you move everything around and don't move the customer. Okay, don't do things administratively simple for yourself and then ignore the customer. With the recession, some people are trying to cut their budgets on janitorial services. Now what happens, you see, the magic moment of truth is if you walk into the bar and your feet get stuck on the floor, that's the magic moment of truth. And you go to the bathroom and it's not clean, that's the magic moment of truth. That's why Ray Kroc, the guy who founded McDonald's, he would ask his driver to stop at any McDonald's at random. And the first thing he would do is he would pick up the containers for Coke, he'll pick up the hamburger wrappers from the parking lot. And the manager says, that is the chairman of the board, that's the founder of the company, and he's cleaning my parking lot. And so he's sitting there shitting bricks, okay? And then Ray Kroc will come in, and Ray Kroc will go to the toilet and he'll clean the toilet. He says, if the toilet is clean, the customers suspect that the kitchen might be clean. If your toilet is not clean, the customer might wonder about your cellar, okay? So I wonder, do we watch for these little details? Magic is all in the details. In fact, one guy in the States, I once drove to a gas station, The guy has a toilet that was purple in color with lights around the mirrors and fur on the toilet seat. Do you realize that your toilet can be made a speaking point, a talking point? For example, if you go to Japan now, you have a toilet where when you sit down, the toilet will give you your weight in a digital readout. And you put your finger into a machine, and it will take your blood pressure, your temperature, and your alcohol content, and computer printout. And if you pee and poo, it'll give you your cholesterol level. So, if you can take a toilet and make it something to attract customers, what about improvements in everything else in your pub? You see, today, people are very well educated and they have traveled, which means that if you give your customer today what you gave your customer yesterday, you have cheated him. There must be constant improvement. And a pair of hands and a brain isn't enough. A team is required, okay? Now, another important thing I want to share with you is customer feedback. Sometimes the customer comes along and he complains. So what do? You say, shut your mouth, okay? They are more like you. If you don't like my place, get out of here. Besides, you look like one end of a horse, you talk like the other, okay? Now, you could get away with that before. Today, you can't. You see, when somebody complains, what the person is saying to you, fella, I'm sitting on a mountain of dissatisfaction. The bulk of them are voting with their feet. But for me, I am on your side. I like you. I want to come back, except for this one thing. So when someone complains, you hug them. Say, thank you for complaining. It's a gold-plated opportunity to make money. And if the guy is a pain in the neck, and he whines and he bitches, he is platinum-plated. But to be able to listen to complaints requires maturity. Now, British Airways used to stand for bloody awful. But today, BA stands for bloody awesome. Why? Because British Airways sent a woman to the airport. And the woman, when the guy got off the plane, says, well, sir, what do you think of British Airways service? And the guy says, I'm an Englishman, so I and all my employees fly British Airways. You're responsible for £2 million a year in billings. But my dear, when I go back to my office, I propose to send out a memo which will read that nobody in my employ must fly British Airways again in perpetuity. And the girl said, I think you're upset. Why are you so angry with us? He said, I went to the executive club, it's like a flight deck, and I showed them my card, and the guy said, you can't have a drink here because your card has expired. He said, okay, how much do I owe you? He said, no, our policy and procedures say you must go down 2 flights of steps, get a form, fill it in, mail it. In 2 weeks, we'll send you the new card, then you can come in. He said, you can keep the card, I don't need it anymore. Do you have rules and procedures that screw up your customers? Okay. But within 3 days, a vice president from British Airways showed up and said, sir, other people pay for this, it's yours for free. He said, I have no illusions why you're here. You're here after my big billings. But the fact that you're here means there are neurological connections between your front line and your head office. And because of you, I shall receive my order. Are you sensitive to people being upset? Okay? Now, British Airways, they have got a booth with a video camera. And when you're angry, you punch a button and you yell and scream into the video camera. And the employees see it uncensored. Now, this is the surest way to make money, to get it from the horse's mouth. Okay? And they found very interesting things. They found that customers want 4 things from you. Number 1, they want care and concern. Do you show care and concern? Okay? Now, how can you show care and concern to your customer when the person you hired was a warm body you hired yesterday without any training, and this person is the lowest paid, least cared for, least trained person? So your front line, therefore, is absolutely important. Okay? And then how do you show care and concern? Unless you see, we define a customer as the next person in line in receipt of your goods, ideas, and services. And you know where they come from? They are inside your pub. Next person in line in receipt of your ideas, goods, and services. And the person in the front line will give the customer the same treatment you give him or her. So, is your pub a place where everybody is held together by love, by affirmation, by validation, and by empowerment? Or is it held together by the central heating system? Or are you held together by bonds of friendly contempt? Okay? If you do not know how to have a team, you're going to get into trouble. And the question is, how do we learn how to do that? You learn it at home. Life today must be a seamless rope. When you go home, would your spouse say, Daddy's home, and all the kids jump up and down? Or will you say, oh my God, here he comes again? When was the last time you went home and you hailed Mary until you knew the merriness of Mary? Just make sure your wife's name is Mary. When was the last time you got down on one knee and looked at your 4-year-old son, those of you with second marriages, and talk to your 4-year-old son as if he's a person with short legs? When was the last time? One guy, he came home on Friday night and he locked himself in his bedroom. He put a sign, "Do not disturb, breadwinner at work. I'm doing it all for you." And he slammed the door shut. And the 4-year-old daughter says, "Mommy, why does Dad do that to us every Friday?" Mommy said, "Because Dad can't finish his work during normal office hours." So the girl said, "Why won't they put him in a slower group?" So if you know how to treat your family well, then you will know how to treat your employees well, and that's the only way you can treat your customers well. So these are the brave new things we have got to learn today, okay? And, okay, I think it's about time now for me to get a hold of a few volunteers. I'd like to illustrate my principles with examples, with action rather than theory. I hear Gary Selman is a good sport. Where is Gary Selman? Come on up. Gary? Gary Selman, okay? Now, to make my point, I'm going to abuse Gary Selman. Now, we have in the laboratory developed 25 ways of abusing human beings. Your job is to tell me how I abuse Gary deliberately so that you don't abuse people unconsciously, okay? I'm from the Australian Broadcasting Corporation, my microphone, interviewing the man in the street. Hello, can you tell me what your name is, please?
Gary Selman.
Thank you. Now, during your last vacation, where did you go?
Hawaii.
Did you go alone?
No, I went with my wife.
What do you think of your boss?
He's fine. He's here today.
What do you think of our new Prime Minister?
He's not so fine.
Are you a Labour man?
No.
Oh, well, our Labour Prime Ministers are always the best Liberal Prime Ministers anyhow. So, for your next holiday, where would you go?
I'd go to United States.
Alone?
Yes. My wife's not here.
What do you do for excitement?
That's a good question. Have a drink at the bar.
Yeah. I'm the guy who gets the laughs. Okay, let's give him a round of applause. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Now, what did I do to abuse Gary? Eh? What? What did I do to abuse Gary? You said that I didn't look at Gary. Now, if I come in and I am a damn foreigner, you know, I look different, do you know how to establish eye contact with me? Or if somebody is different, you begin to look away. Okay? So we need to look at people with a focus where everything is equal focus, because you can look at someone in such a manner as to strip them naked. Okay? If I look into your eyes as a stranger to your bar, can you guarantee me a smile? Can you guarantee, when you look at your acceptance and respect? Can you guarantee me unqualified, positive regard? In your presence, do you communicate to control me or to give me pleasure? And do I have a sense of nobility? The name of the researcher was Aristotle. It is as fundamental as this, because if you can't guarantee me how to do this, you're going to be not as successful as you can possibly be, okay? One of the exciting things I found in Queensland is that in Queensland, all the people in the service industry, when they say, "Where is the conference room?" they will say, "The conference room is over there." 3 million Asians point with the whole hand palm down. Because if you point like this, it's offensive to them because of their culture. If you meet a guy from Thailand and you tousle the head of his son, the head is sacred to the Buddhists there, you have just annoyed him, he'll walk out. If you put your foot and show the sole of your foot to people from Asia, they get offended. So these are the little things that if we become familiar with, we can make money by simply doing things that people feel comfortable with. Besides not looking at him, how else did I abuse Gary? About the things I say, the way I say them, the types of questions. Okay? Sorry? That's right. I didn't listen to his answer. Okay? You must observe. You must listen. Okay? And then you must learn to respond. I was thinking about myself. I was thinking of what next to say. So these are the little things to empathize. Is people think of people. You have got balance sheets. You've got financial statements and all those things. They tell you how much money you got, how much buildings you got. But the only thing that makes money is people, and you've got no form of measurement. So set up measurements. Okay, how much money we make tonight, how many bottles of this or that brand we sold, and let your people see how well you do. Okay. Now let me illustrate another important point. Can I find Yen Harper and Gary Roberts? Where is Jen Harper and Gary Roberts? Is Jen Harper here? Yeah. Come forward. Again, as I'm saying, the things you can't touch are the things that make you money. The things you can touch, they don't make you money. So I'm going to make the invisible visible. Come up, Jen and Gary, okay? Now look at each other, okay? I'm going to ask these two people, stay far apart, don't get too close. Now, I'm going to ask these two people to violate the norms of good human behavior. Then we can make visible the invisible, okay? Now, the judge looked down and saw the criminal with his hands in his pocket, and he was chewing gum, and the judge says, in my court, I want you to stop masticating. So he took out his hands and he continued to chew, okay? Now, Jan, you see, can see Gary from the top of his head to the sole of his foot. So she's quite comfortable. One false move, she's out like a shot, okay? Now, I want you to walk towards each other and talk as you would normally in the corridors. All right, freeze, freeze, freeze. Enjoy yourself while you get now. They have moved from a social distance to a personal distance. Jan can only see the top of his head to here, so her vision has been cut by 50%. So she must trust him. But even though her vision has been cut, she can hear him better, and if his 5-day deodorant quit working, she can even smell it, okay? But the important thing is, you see, they are exactly 1 arm's length apart. Hang in there, okay? You see, in our culture, 1 arm's length is normal. But if you go to Latin America or Saudi Arabia, the Arabs must come 6 inches from your nose, and they stare at you with a lizard stare. And the Aussie is trying to sell sheep on the hoof, and the Arab is trying to get comfortable, and the Aussie is backing into the wall because they think he's a member of the boys in the band, okay? So, different cultures require different things. If you don't believe me, if you were to go, if you're tired, you can put your hands down for 5 seconds. Now, if you go to Harrods, okay, and you walk within 1 arm's length of an Englishman, the guy will move as if he's made of rubber, okay? One guy from Wagga Wagga saw the back of an Englishman in Harrods. He says, that's my mate from Wagga Wagga. So he tiptoed up to his mate to surprise him. And he slammed the Englishman between the shoulder blades. Wham! Hello, you old bastard! The Englishman pulled himself to his tallest height and turned around, and the guy said, oh my God, it's a mistake. So he explained to the Englishman, he said, you see, sir, in Australia, we call everybody bastards. And the Englishman said, I don't see why not. No. There was another Englishman. He came to Australia, and he filled up the form, name, address, phone number, occupation, and the last question was, do you have a criminal record? And he said, I didn't know it was still necessary, okay? Okay, Ian and Gary, now I want each of you to take 1 step forward. They have gone from a social distance to a personal distance. They are now at a critical distance, okay? And if I say, take 1 more step forward, they must either make love or run, okay? Let's give them a round of applause. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Now, when you walk around this hotel, look at the way they choose their color scheme. Look at the way they have space. If I come to your pub, okay, how do you use space? Is there rhyme or reason to your space? Is there rhyme or reason to your color scheme? Look at the way they arrange the livery, okay? So that very subtly you know that this person is doing that kind of a job or what. And these are the things that make or break organizations today. The things you can't touch, okay? So watch out for them. I think I now come to one of the most important parts of my speech. Now, let me see. I have here Yvonne Bayfield. Bayfield, is it? Yvonne Bayfield. And Gay Roberts. Will you come forward? Yvonne and Gay? Yeah, what I'm trying to do... Come. Now, look at each other. Look at each other, look at each other. Not too close, so you can see each other better. And memorize each other's features. Let me tell you what I'm going to ask them to do. Whenever you want to make changes in your place, you must learn to unfreeze. That's how the amoeba moves. It turns from gel to sol, it moves, then it goes from sol to gel. Too many of us don't want to disturb things. Too many of us always want to be uptight, okay? Now, I want you to learn to unfreeze, make the changes, and learn to refreeze. And too many of us don't do that, okay? Now, I'm going to make them unfreeze by giving them information. Memorize each other's features, okay? You know how you look. And the change is turn back to back, turn back to back. And I want you to take things off, unzip, unbutton, and change your appearance in 5 ways. Yeah, very good. Change your appearance in 5 ways. Okay, very good. 3. Yeah. Change your appearance. 5 ways yet? Good. Okay. You got 5 ways? Got 5 ways? Yeah. 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 Put this down. So, okay. Okay. Right. Now turn around. Turn around. Okay. Now, can you tell me how she has changed her appearance in 5 ways?
Me?
No, you tell me about how she has changed her appearance 5 ways. If you move here, you can see what she has done. Okay. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 5, okay? Now, you tell me how she has changed her appearance in 5 ways.
Done her belt.
1,
taken her
2,
tag off, glasses off, shoes off.
4, 5, okay. Now, supposing I ask you to turn back to back and change your appearance in 20 ways, can you do that without looking indecent? Will it be easy?
Just facial expression.
Okay, it will be rather difficult. So what I'm saying is that, but if I give you a piece of paper and you both agree that when you change your curl, it's called 1, when you make a funny expression, it's called 2, and when you put your arm, it's called 3, with you putting your heads together, would it make life easier for you? When you get together.
Yeah.
So the point I'm trying to stress is, we have always been individual cusses. We have never learned how to work as a team. But today, you either hang together or you hang separately, okay? Let's give them a round of applause. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Now, you see what's happening is that I have unfrozen them, I have changed them, but I did not refreeze them. And that's where most of our troubles are. We make all kinds of expensive changes, but we have done nothing to refreeze. When you do nothing to refreeze, things atrophy back to where they were. They are now putting on their shoes, they're putting on their bangles, they're buttoning up, they're putting back their shirts. So what must we do to refreeze? How do we make successes and keep the gains? How do we make the small wins so that we are 1% better than our competition in 1,000 ways, okay? And this is the most important lesson I want to share with you before we break up today. Now, let me see. Can I get John Ross? How about Mrs. John Ross as well? And David O'Malley. Where is John Ross? John and Mrs. Ross and David O'Malley. Okay, who is John? Which one of you is John? Yeah, John. Come on, John. And your first name is?
Gillian.
Gillian and David. Okay, we'll start with John. John, come here. Now, John, you see when you're nervous, you protect your heart and lungs. When you're very nervous, you've got a fig leaf, you've got a reverse fig leaf, okay? Now, John, all of us have got natural talent. I don't know what your natural talent is, but I want you to share with us what your natural talent is. What is it that you do better than everybody else combined naturally because it's a God-given talent? And in deep humility, give us an example of how wonderful you are.
Possibly speech making.
John Ross is a good speech maker. You see, they asked Americans, what do you hate the most? They say speech making. And what do you think of death? They say number 3. People would rather die than to make speeches. And he's good at it. Let's give him a round of applause. Your name is?
Gillian.
Gillian?
Yes.
I want you to say to your husband, John, you're too modest. I've been married to you. I know you. You're even more magnificent than that.
Oh, he's superb.
Yeah. Now, I want you to tell us a little story about how this man was magnificent at home, at work, or at play.
Well, he's just so easy to get on with, in all ways.
He is a man who is easy to get along with. Now, you see, all of us human beings need to be affirmed, loved, validated, and we need to be empowered. And too many of us don't put elbow grease into that. So I want you to give John a round of applause, but with bells and whistles. Now, David, I want you to say to John and Gillian, but there's nothing. I'm his mate. I know him. He's even more superb than that. Now, I want you to tell us a little story when you saw John go right over the top.
He's my friend.
Yeah. Tell us a story when you saw him doing something really wonderful that was impressive to you.
Oh, walking across the tarmac. I thought that was excellent.
The man, when he walks, okay, there's poetry in motion. Now, I want you to stand up and give him a standing applause with bells and whistles. Come on. Thank you. Now, John, do you feel a warm glow? Oh!
Unbelievably.
All right, let's give them a round of applause. Thank you very much. Okay, the point I'm trying to make is this. Every time we ask publicans to go back and say, attaboy, attagirl, arriba, ole to their people, Every time we say go and affirm them, empower them, and validate them, every time we ask you to go and say to people, there's a good job, they say, I can't afford it. You see, what I'm saying to you is that too many of us, okay, feel that to give a compliment is to diminish ourselves, okay? It's like asking you to kiss in public. But it's not true. If you've got $5, I give everybody $1. After 5 people, I've got no money. But if I've got 5 ideas and I give it to 5 people, they have 5 ideas each, I get 25 ideas. It's a different dynamic, okay? So I'd like to suggest to you that I didn't increase the budget. I didn't spend any money. I didn't import anything artificial. All I did was to acknowledge somebody's skill and then say, attaboy, and affirm it. Why don't you try that? Anybody who has worked for you for more than 10 years feel like part of the furniture. Anybody who's just been employed feel underappreciated, under-noticed, under-led. So it's vital that we learn to go out, establish eye contact, call people by name. You see, all of you have the power to make people want to come back, to work with you, and to come back and drink with you. How? When was the last time you thanked someone publicly to his or her face? When was the last time you reached out and touched them on the elbow, on the shoulder, elsewhere they call it sexual harassment? When was the last time you ever wrote thank you notes? If you will do these things and you are specific, because specificity engenders motivation, you will cut through all your defenses and you will register. In good hotels like the Four Seasons, you show up, the computer will tell you, John Brown, he likes non-allergenic pillows. He only likes French mustard. Do you have a list either on card file or on a computer where a customer shows up, you quickly go to the back and get information about the son who broke his leg skiing, about the daughter who had 8 distinctions? This is the way you keep them. Eye contact, a touch, and what comes from your heart will enter their heart. You must flood their eyes, flood their ears, and flood their feelings. Feelings are the dynamo of communication, and that's how you keep them, with hooks of steel. Okay? So, when I started saying this, one guy said to me, Key, you don't understand us Aussies. We Australians, if we like you, we don't compliment you. We stick it to you. And I didn't believe him until one day he invited me to talk to his people. And he said, fellas, these Chinese, their names have meanings. I'll show you. He said, what's your last name? I said, Key. He said, Key means intelligent. And your other names? I said, Yong-Tau. And Yong-Tau means not very. Okay? So I knew he liked me. When I first arrived in Queensland, one guy said to me, you know, you Chinese are like bananas. I said, how is a Chinese like a banana? He said, you're yellow on the outside, white on the inside, not a straight one in the bunch. I knew they liked me. I went to New South Wales, and one guy said, you know, you Chinese, you eat too much rice. And since you are what you eat, if you continue to eat too much rice, he said, it's going to affect your sex life. So I said, gee, thanks for the information. From now on, I'll stay away from the minute rice. I'll only eat the long grain. Okay? Now, the thing is, when you and I go to a funny mirror room, and we are fat, and we are thin, and we are long, we don't care because we know who we are. But our new customers don't know who they are in relation to us. Our new employees do not know. Even small children do not know. Are you careful about how you use words? Do you use words to make people feel great, or do you use words to cut them down to little pieces? Okay? Bill Cosby said until he was 7, he thought his name was Jesus Christ. Okay? And then one guy said to me, Key, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words can never hurt me. That's not true. Words can devastate you. Let me show you what I mean. When the Russians came to East Berlin after the Second World War, one Russian saw an East Berlin woman starving. So he said, you can come home with me if you wish. So she came home. He said, you can eat and drink with me if you wish. So she ate and drank. He said, you can come to bed with me if you wish. So she slept with him. Next morning, as she was leaving the house, he said, wait a minute. In 9 months, you're going to give birth to a son. You can call him Ivan if you wish. And the girl spoke up for the first time. She said, Ivan, in 2 weeks, you will develop a rash. You can call it measles if you wish. So I'd like to suggest to you that we learn to give our people massive challenges, learn to give our people superlative tools, and to learn to give our people inordinate rewards, rewards that come from the heart, that are symbolic, that are full of gestures. And when you do that, you will then refreeze the gains and go from strength to strength. I think I have time to hit you with 1 or 2 more thoughts, and then I must wind up. Too many of us like to do business the old way. You see, the old way, man against machines, man against the land. You want to hire dumb people who will not screw up the machines. You even want bosses who are not too bright so they don't get too creative, and you just want to tick, 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 tick. Today, it is man against man. Now, you can predict human beings in general. If you can't predict human beings in general, you can't drive a car. But unfortunately, you're not dealing with human beings in general. You are dealing with human beings in particular. You must lure each customer one by one in specific ways that are specific to their customer. Okay? So when you are dealing with your customers, averages don't count. People are different, okay? And don't second guess them. Because when you second guess them, you get into trouble. One reporter went to Arkansas and he asked the farmer, how come your pig has a wooden leg? He said, oh, my child fell into the well 3 weeks ago. His name is Arnold. He squealed so loudly, we rescued my child. My child is alive because of Arnold. He said, I don't get it. Why does Arnold have a wooden leg? He said, 3 months ago, my neighbor's house caught fire. Arnold squealed so loudly at 3 o'clock, we rescued my neighbor. My neighbor, his whole family is alive because of Arnold. He said, I'm from the city, I must be slow. I don't get it. Why does Arnold have a wooden leg? So the farmer said, you see, sir, with a pig like that, you don't eat it all at once. Okay? So, don't second guess people, okay? Because statistics don't work with people. A to B in exams, there's 10 points. B to C, 20 points. C to D, 40 points. But D to F is a chasm, okay? On average, if you put 1 foot in the oven, 1 foot in the refrigerator, you should be quite comfortable on average, okay? So don't play around with human beings on averages, but get to know them individually, all right? And human beings are also messy. You cannot run a pub by making everything deodorized, sanitized, tickety-boo. You must allow for a bit of nonsense, and go for the what we call the basic aspects of their nature, the feelings aspect of it, okay? This was brought home to me when one day my wife said to me, darling, I want to give birth to our first child without anesthetics. Now, I have never been to school to learn how to be a father, so I found myself in a room called the Lemaire's class. I was in a room filled with women engaged in heavy breathing, okay? And my wife learned first level, second level, third level, fourth level breathing. The woman next door, the baby was coming, she refused to give birth because she had not yet mastered fourth level breathing, okay? Then one night at 4 o'clock, my wife says, darling, I think the water has broken. I said, you woke me up at 4 o'clock to tell me the water has broken. Call the bloody plumber tomorrow. And when she explained the meaning of that, I was in such a state of shock, she drove me to hospital. Now, we were living in Canada. I had a green cap, a green gown with my backside in the air, and I was holding my wife. And they never told me that when the baby was born, it was blue. So I gave my wife useful information. I said, darling, I think you've just given birth to a Smurf. Okay? And then when the baby was all cleaned up and my wife was holding the baby, she said, come here. I said, what do you want? He said, remember, before I gave birth, you read all your books, and you said that giving birth, darling, is no more painful than one big bowel movement? I said, yeah. He said, let me tell you what it's like to give birth. Now take 2 fingers and put it into your mouth and pull. So I pulled as hard as I could. I said, is this all the pain you felt? She said, no, now flip it over your head. At that moment, I realized she was upset. So when we went home, as a peace offering, I quickly ran to the video store, and I brought a videotape called 10. So we saw the movie 10. I said, darling, on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate me? She said, don't tease me. You know I'm terrible at fractions. And this anger continued for quite some time, because when I was coming to Australia to live, I said, I'm going to go ahead and find a house. And so she had a garage sale, and my mate said, she went to the garage, she said to my wife, hey, a few months ago, I saw you've got a big fat mug with a flat head that could hold a lot of beer. How much would it cost? She said, I can't sell that thing, that's my husband, okay? Now, so what I'm saying to you is that learn to be more open. Learn to roll. You see, if the whole world is weird and you are not weird, you are weird, okay? In ecology, in biology, and in robotics, we have a law called the law of requisite variety. When the world changes, if you build a robot and there are rhomboids and triangles and squares, and you don't teach the robot how to handle that, you'll fall on its face. So learn to be in the open mode. I think I have time to get you through into the open mode. What is the open mode? Well, how many of you have last names from A to E? A to E? A to E, probably has good. All of you with last names from A to E, I'm going to conduct a barnyard symphony. I want you to be my pigs. You go oink, 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 okay? How many of you have last names from F to K? F to K. I want you to be my cows. You go, okay? How many of you have last names from L to R? L to R. I want you to be my sheep, meh, meh, okay? Nebulous noises. And the rest of you, S to Z, S to Z, S to Z, you're the turkeys. Gobble, 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 gobble. Now, I'm going to conduct the Barnyard Symphony 3 times, okay? Each time must be louder than the next. And then when you feel like a real Charlie, when you feel like a real moron and an idiot, capture this feeling. Take it home to your family. Take it home to your pub. And take it home back to your life. Because we live in a world now where you must be humble enough to learn from everything and every man. Where you must learn to hang loose and stop being tight-assed. Where you must learn to have high self-esteem and use your knowledge just up to the level of the person you talk to and not above them. Where you must learn to be able to reach out and make your customer part of your loop. Where you must learn to deal with messy human beings. And if you forget that, that's the day when you hit for the cellar. The Barnyard Symphony, 3 times, each time louder than the next until the management comes and check on us, okay? 1, 2, 3. Oh, louder. Louder. Good. So, how do we give service beyond customer satisfaction through to customer delight? You do it by understanding that the customer is a human being. And what do human beings like to do? Human beings like to be loved, affirmed, validated, and empowered. And if you are the leader, if you like money, if you like status, if you like recognition, you know how you get it? You give it away with both hands as fast as you can. Because we live in a world today where what goes around comes around. If you hang on to the things you love and refuse to let go of it, like shit will stink to high heaven. But like manure, if you push it away, it fertilizes, okay? So go back and train your people. Go and find a good bartender from a very expensive hotel on his off days, bring him back and let him show you what you can do. Hoteliers are now teaching people in hospitals how to have big name tags, how to have more information booths. There is no industry in this world where sensitivity to people, if you don't put that as a centerpiece to be customer focused and customer obsessive, there's no industry in which you can survive today. I think I have time to give you one last example. I hope my watch is not slow. No, if you go to Canada, there is a place called the Shoulders Hospital. The Dr. Shoulders saw the number of operations being done, and the one that gets the highest number of incidents would be inguinal hernia. So he arranged a hospital. What I'm saying is that you must find out what people want and build a factory to deliver the service. Okay? All the risers on the steps are very small. All the rooms have no bathroom, no TV, no nothing, no phones. You must walk. Because after the operation, you must walk and it's good for you. So when you show up, the first thing they do is they ask you to clean yourself and shave your pubic hair yourself. And then you walk to the operating theater and you lie down there and the doctors give you local anesthetics so they can talk to you and they cut you up. And when they finish sewing you, they step back and just get up and walk. And when you get up and walk, they give you a gown to cover your front. You walk out of the operating theater into a room where men are waiting to be operated upon, and you give a lecture on your operation. Okay? They don't want you if you're not sick. It's too expensive to handle sick people. They don't want you if you're sick or if you're not sick. But if you have inguinal hernia, they want you. Okay? And because people have got such camaraderie, because everything is all thought out, every year you can get 1,500 people who get together at the Royal York Hotel in Toronto to show each other the scars and to celebrate. Now, do you have a pub where people come back after they've gone overseas for 10 years and say, boy, this is the corner where I sat in? Do you have that kind of a pub? So, segment your market. Make sure that you have care and concern. Make sure that you're spontaneous. You break rules for people. When something goes wrong, you problem solve. And when if you don't do something right the first time, you do it very right the second time. You do that, then your pub is a license to print money. You see, our world has changed. In the past, management is to get work done through people. Today, it is getting people done through work. In the past, we could make whatever we want, and whatever we can't sell, we can export it. Today, you must solve the society's problems outside, and inside, you must guarantee each other a job and a career which is defined as expression of self. I don't want a contract from you if I work for you. I want a covenant. I don't want a job from you. I want a vocation. And we must start caring for each other. If we can't do that, someone like Cromwell will say, depart, I say. You have been sitting here for too long for all the good you have been doing. Make way for better men, in the name of God, go. But if you and I will live up to this challenge of this brave new age, my last message comes from a woodcut I saw. It was Mary Tudor's reign. For the first time, the Catholics can repay the Protestants with the same coin. The Protestants used to rob their monasteries and whatnot. So they had put two pillars 12 feet apart, 12 feet high. They attached Nicholas Ridley and Bishop Latimer. They have learned from the Protestants never to have a private burning because it's expensive, so they get a huge crowd, put them on the hill. They have learned to dip the wood in tar, bathe the guys in tar, so when you set fire to them, you spit fire and scare the shit out of them, okay? And they've learned you must marry brutality with ceremony, and they had the drums roll, and then they silence the drums. It is a turn for the Protestants to squeal and beg for mercy. But instead, Latimer has a message for us. Latimer said, "Play the man, Master Ridley, and we shall this day light such a candle by God's grace in England, as I trust will never be put out." With your last breath before they kill you, you say, "Up your nose with a rubber hose, I have a choice, and I choose excellence." Tevye, from the Fiddler on the Roof, he says, "Life is like a fiddler on the roof." All of us have a melody within us, from the lowliest to the highest, and we want to eke out this melody on our violin. But how can you play your violin on the roof if you spend all your time hanging onto the bloody roof? So you need not high fear and low trust, you need high trust and low fear. And you need to be ethical, and you need to care. And if we will only do that, no matter how often they tell you that the road between mediocrity and excellence is a rough one, I will know it's worth the trip. So I'll see you there.